Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited and honored to have on, not to mess up his last name, but we're going to go Nick K. How do you pronounce your last name, Nick?
Koumalatsos.
I am honored to have you on, man. When I was going through Nick's profile before we started this podcast yesterday, and I was just going through everything, I mean, this guy has so many layers, from being an author to an entrepreneur, to the fitness industry, to testosterone therapy. There's so many things we're going to talk about today. So I just want to always start off by letting the audience know what you're currently up to in your day-to-day operations with your business and family and life. And then we'll take the conversation where it's going. So where are you on a daily basis? Where are you focused on right now?
In blocks. I'm focused in blocks. Yeah. Because I have so much going on, my daily schedule is real carved out into sections. Otherwise I will just spin out of control and really not get anything accomplished. And I'm just running around with my hair on fire. And I've done those. And I think everybody that's been an entrepreneur has done those. But basically I section everything off into blocks of which business I'm focused on, family time, my time, gym time. But they generally consist of, family time, my personal time, Johnny Slick's time, and then Alexander Industries, or you would call it the Agogi, and the fitness aspect of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it's super cryptic, or it's kind of cryptic. But
it's pretty amazing because I'm a huge, I focus and we talked about this a little bit before we started. I focus my schedule around my family time, and then I run all my businesses around that. And scheduling,
that's the right way to do it.
Scheduling is hands down the most important part of my day. Like, I have my month scheduled out and planned out way in advance. And I even the white spots in my schedule are probably as important as the fill times. And I balance everything out for family time, for parent time, for my wife time, date, whatever it is, I balance everything out on a schedule. So I'm the same as you. I don't go by blocks, but I'm so set on my schedule. I already know what time I'm going to do everything, and I cut everything off at a certain time. So 2:45, I'm home. I have a 3 to 7 every night. I call it 3 to 7. So 3 to 7 o'clock, no matter what, for the last 12 years, I've been home. I've never missed a dinner at home for the last 12 years. And
that's awesome.
And how I've done that is I block 3 to 7. So 2:45, I'm out of the office. No matter what happens, off, let's go. So let's talk. There's so many areas I want to dive into today. I'm going to start off by your book. When was it released? And let's just talk about it and how did it all come to about?
Yeah. So the book was released actually just over 2 years ago, November 1st, 2018. And it really, that journey started, I would say, in 2014. Me learning what the aspects of the 7 stages of transition, and because I had to go through my personal journey. Yeah. So in 14, that journey started, and then in 18, the book was released, and it really started as me wanting to help the veteran community, identifying an issue with the military veterans that I thought had an issue with transitioning out. As I did things and as I traveled around the world speaking and doing different business things and engaging with the veteran community, but I was getting other people that were either wives or outside of the veteran community coming up to me and following me on social media and listening to the message and going, I'm not a veteran, but everything you described really spoke to me, and I felt like I was listening to my own story. And we're talking about women, individuals that divorce. We're talking about professional sports athletes. We're talking about cops, firefighters, a guy that worked at UPS that got laid off at 29 years right before he was supposed to get his 30-year, So what it comes into is anytime that you do something for a prolonged amount of time that your identity gets attached to.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime we have a job that we either on purpose or just kind of because of life, our identity gets attached to what we do, that becomes a dangerous thing. And when that thing gets ripped away from you, because it's not part of your identity, it's what you do, it's not who you are. And when that happens, man, there's just a whole host of things that happens in our lives, and we have to go through this whole process to figure out who we are. And I outlined the 7 stages of transition, and that's kind of how that happened. And we, on the business side of it, I really wanted to write it and publish it in 2017. We were working with an agent, and potentially with Simon & Schuster, but they wanted me to remove my personal story,
which is probably the most important part of it.
Which is the most important part of the whole thing.
The heart of it.
It's what connects them, right?
Yeah.
And so they said either remove your personal story or remove the 7 stages of transition and just keep the personal story. I'm like, well, then there's no call to action. There's no lesson there. It's just a story. So that was a year process, and I waved off and said, you know what, I'm going to do it my own way and the right way that I feel that was. So I self-published, and
awesome.
And it's been a hit. That. Yeah, it's been a hit.
I love that. I'm going to, as you're talking, and I guess I'm reflecting quickly on something you're saying. Those 7 stages, how you've worded it and how you've described it, where it connects to other people. I'm going to give you an example of, just as you're saying it, is just connecting to a thought process in my head. A lot of people, when they retire, that's a huge component. And why I'm identifying this is friends of the family, a gentleman, he was a widow, and he retired, and not even 5 months later, he took his life. Because he lost his, and I never thought of it in that direction where he lost identity. But a lot of people, when they retire, that camaraderie, that it's almost like being in the military. It's that camaraderie, that every day, that routine, that identity they think they have, they lose it. So I love that. I mean, it's something, like I said, you can utilize that towards retirement.
It's loss, and it's also loss of purpose.
Yeah.
You know what the average lifespan, and this might be, somebody will fact check me on this, but I just did a police chief conference, a few months ago in Oregon. Yeah. I guess a lot longer. It was right before the country meltdown.
This year has flown by, buddy.
Yeah. But I think that the average lifespan for a police chief retiring is 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's ridiculous. And it's either from suicide or substance abuse or just giving up.
I'm sure a lot of careers, a lot of people that are, like I said, like the factory workers, something that had a very steady routine job that they based their life around.
It's the same thing for the military as well. Like people that stay 20, 30 years in the military, when they get out, they typically not a long lifespan afterwards, either from suicide or from, something else.
So let's talk your journey. So you said that was your process of your journey for the few years. Let's talk through your process of journey. How did you go through that yourself? How did you bring that awareness to yourself?
So I self-forced. I was very, very blessed in a way that I got the opportunity to start a nonprofit with a project under Gallant Few. It's where the Raider Project originally originated from, a guy named Carl Munger. And I was helping some of my friends from the unit that I was with. I'd gotten out. I'd been out for a year. They were all starting to get out. They all kind of got out about a year after me. And they were all kind of coming to me and be like, hey, you've done really well. And for all intents and purposes, on the business contracting networking side, I had done very well. I was making well into 6 figures. I got out. I made $165,000 my first year out. So I was like, I was on cloud 9, right? Like for an enlisted Marine, granted we made good money in special operations, but to make that kind of money outside right out the gate, I felt like I was doing really well on that front. What I was not looking at is the human being side of things, that's what I had not caught up to me yet.
Yeah.
The personal growth and the personal development. I was just looking at logistical, make a bunch of money, be able to pay your bills, be able to take care of your family, period. That's all that matters.
Very technical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So initially my response was, okay, let's introduce you to these people, so I would take, we were taking trips to SHOT Show. We were self-funding it. going to different career fields, and I was networking different people. And when I met Carl, he was like, "You're doing veteran service organization work. Like, we need to create, you need some infrastructure so that you can scale this and help people." Well, I started to learn the different functions and different issues. I think it was like the first month we started the Raider Project, we had like three suicides. Wow. And 2 KIAs in country.
Yeah.
One of which was a good friend. And I was like, this is not what I signed on for. I thought I was just going to get people jobs.
Yeah.
But the problems that were coming in were not job problems. They were personal problems. They were problems with transition. There were problems with purpose. There were problems with identity. There were problems with being stuck. And that's when I started to put myself in these through these programs and through these different situations that people were offering, as to vet them, not because I needed them, because I was good, right? I'm good. Yeah. So not because I needed them, but I didn't want to send one of my guys on our behalf saying, we're going to send you here, and it comes out as like snake oil, right?
Yeah.
So I was going to put myself through these things as a vetting process. Well, what happened was it identified a lot of issues in myself that I actually needed to work on. So by going through these situations as a vet, trying to vet them, it actually identified a ton of issues within myself. I'll give you an example. I can't remember the exact year. I want to say it was 14. No. Yeah, it had to have been 14. Summer of 14, I went to the Soft Care Coalition conference, and I saw a video of a Marine Raider that went to a brain clinic. And I was like, holy cow, I haven't seen that guy in years. Had no idea that he was struggling with all these different things. And then the doctor came on, told the story. We got a link, and I was like, oh, I've got to look into this. So I've submitted my information as a kind of a lead to vet this organization, and just so that we could send people there. And we actually ended up sending, I think, 32 different people there over the course of that brain clinic's life. But the very first one was me, because they called me and they said, hey, we got your information. We want you to come in like immediately. And I'm like, what do you mean I want to come in immediately? They're like, we looked at all your paperwork and we think you need to come here like now. Like, wow. Can you be here by Saturday?
How was your reaction? Did you were you under the understanding that at that moment there was something underlying that you had to focus on, or was it just more of a shock when they said that to you?
I kind of knew, because I'll tell you, like, I was in a real dark spot. I just got separated. My kids were gone. My kids and ex-wife at the time had moved away. So I had me and my dog. It was like a really sad situation. I had my office upstairs in my house. And then I had, it's like, really sad, like sad situation. Like, you're sleeping on the floor in your bedroom. You got no furniture. There's like tumbleweeds going through your house. There's nothing there. Like, so I would wake up, go upstairs, work until the sun went down, come downstairs, warm up some sad food, and then go to bed.
That's crazy.
That was my life.
Yeah.
And so they got this questionnaire. They're like, yeah, we really feel like you need to fly in like Saturday. I was like, well, I can't. So anyways, we worked it out. Come to find out, and I told them that, like, I've got friends that, had their brains, hanging out of their head and put back in, and have survived and lost limbs. And, here I am, like a somewhat able-bodied person. I had a ton of injuries internally that had been worked on, but I felt like I had nothing to complain about. I've got all my fingers and toes. I got all my limbs, I'm good. So then we go through this process, and I was in a real dark place, and I didn't really realize it. And when I went and talked to the doc, I was like, well, yeah, I've gotten, knocked around a few times and this and that. And he goes, listen, he's looking at my scans. He's looking at all my stuff. And he's like, he's looking at my hormones. And he goes, I get it. You're a big, tough guy and you don't need any help. But let me ask you this. How many parachute openings have you had? I'm like, oh, hundreds. How many flashbangs went off by your feet? How many breaches have you been involved in? How many IEDs have blown off by you? How many times have you been in a Humvee where 50 cal gone off, above your head? And I'm like, Doc, I don't know these questions. Like thousands, hundreds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like all of these little things are micro traumas to the brain. And over a period of time, of your 12 years, this causes, reoccurring traumatic brain injuries.
Yeah, of course.
This is the reason why your pituitary gland is like shot. Your endocrine system is shot. Your luteinizing hormone is zero. Your FSH is zero. He's like, that is a sure sign that your endocrine system is not functioning properly. So you're 31 years old. There's no reason why your LH and your FSH should be zero.
Yeah.
Unless there's been trauma to the brain. Right. So, it's things like that I put myself out there and was willing to be open for others, not for myself, for others, that led me the opportunity to fix myself rather quickly. It was about a 3-year process. Plus my current wife now was a huge, any positive significant other in your life is going to be, and not that it wasn't challenging for her, me going through this, but any positive significant other in your life can be
support staff. Everybody needs a support staff,
but it's an exponential growth. When you have that, it's
100%.
You have exponential growth that much faster.
Yeah.
Vice versa. And I write this in the book. If you've got the wrong person in your life,
yeah,
it's going to take you that much longer.
Yeah, but you could take that towards anything, whether it's being an alcoholic, no matter what it is in your life.
Everything.
Negative, 100%. The
business, your business partner.
100%.
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Relationships are so, and I don't mean relationship as a significant other, but your circle of influence
100%
is so incredibly important.
Yeah, I mean,
and we can get into that later. That's a whole nother lesson.
Yeah, you could. Even just dive into that quickly. I mean, you always hear stories, or you always hear, even when you're a kid, tell me who you're hanging around. I'm going to tell you the type of person you are, right? It's just
yep.
You need that positivity, you need that growth around.
Well,
you.
I like to talk like this, and then you can put me back on track.
Yeah,
we'll get right now. Then, you ever had those relationships where you walk into a room, you go hang out with a friend, and you're just like exhausted afterwards?
100%. I think everybody's been through that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That person do not be around.
I 100% agree with that.
But on the vice versa of that, have you ever walked into a room, spent 20, 30 minutes, an hour with someone, and you leave feeling like you just did like a line of Coke?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just took a shot of Red Bull. You're like, holy shit, I am pumped. I don't know why I'm so excited, but I'm going to go like destroy the day. I'm going to go start something. I'm going to go start that business. I'm writing that book. I don't know what happened, man, but I'm ready to go. Yeah. Surround yourself with those people.
100%.
And this is where it gets sad, but this is a necessity. If it's a family member, same thing. You limit your exposure to them.
Yeah, I 100%
create boundaries. You create boundaries and you limit your exposure to them. And it's nothing personal. It's about you. It's not about them. That's their own thing. If they're negative and they're like a drowning cesspool of just toxicity, like they need to deal with that. And you be honest with them. But like that's something they have to deal with. You can't allow other people, regardless of who they are, to pull you down into their sand pit.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you hang out with successful millionaires, what do you think is going to happen to you?
No, it's just I mean, you hear it all the time, and it's something I think a lot of entrepreneurs come to a realization very quickly is you surround yourself with people you want to be, or people at least are in your same level so you can grow together. It's just common. I mean, it doesn't matter where it is, right? You're always, if you're an athlete, you're not going to be, I mean, I'll throw it towards fighting. If you get a tremendously gifted athlete, but he's the best guy in the gym every single day, when he gets to an actual cage to fight, he's going to get his ass given to him because he's never been pushed or pulled.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of athletes. I mean, I don't know if you know, are into MMA or anything like that. You get a guy like Brock Lesnar that was a complete beast, but he was always the biggest, toughest guy in his gym because he didn't want to be pushed. And they would surround him around with all these little pussies that wouldn't be able to push him. And then when he gets in the cage, he can't take a punch. So it's the exact same thing. You could use that towards anything in life. So I love that back. Okay, let's go back and track with. So at that point, you started taking care of yourself. You started coming to realization that this is where I am. And when did it click in your head that, you know what, you said you're the first one in there of your program. When did it click in your head that I got to turn this around and spread this as much as I possibly can?
It turned around when I started to realize that when we got guys jobs, 6-figure, high-paying jobs out of the military, and they would biff it, they'd screw it up.
Yeah.
Their personal life, their own personal shortcomings would screw up the deal, and they would get fired. They would drop the ball. So they would quit. You know, substance abuse would kick in and ruin it. They would get divorced, lose everything. And that happened so many times that it started to realize that, oh, okay, let me, and I love this. And this is the reason why it's like, it suited me so well in the business world as well, because they all tie in, all these things tie in.
Yeah.
I realized that if the person was not healthy and whole themselves, then they were never going to be successful on the outside of that.
Yeah, I love that.
The job, the money, all that stuff, just literally, if I could take a person and make them healthy, whole, and stable, and give them some personal development and growth, get them, this is where and through this process is where I kind of coined the phrase, own your shit.
Yeah.
And I have a mug. I have a coffee mug that has own your shit. So if you're right-handed, because I just did it because I'm right-handed, I put own your shit on the inside. So you have to look at it.
I love that. I love that.
You know what I mean?
You're selling these?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But so it's not outward facing, it's inward
facing. Yeah,
you know? So and that's really where it came to, was I started to see, if I take a guy and I make him healthy and whole and stable, and I give him some personal growth and development, and he owns his shit and he works on himself, and we get that person healthy, both physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah.
The jobs and all the logistical and the tactical stuff, it all just comes together naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they get the job, you know, because they believe in themselves, they got self-confidence, they have purpose again. Yeah. Like they're stable, they're healthy, they're going to bed, they're waking up, they're training, they're doing all the right things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything
just kind of falls into place. Yeah. But when we did it the other way around, it was catastrophe every single time.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, everything you're saying, we can reverse it to anything you do in life, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have that balance, that stability, that self-awareness, that purpose, nothing else matters, because you'll focus on something for a day or two or a week or two, and then you'll just lose that drive, that energy, whether it's whatever it is, right?
So the same thing happened to me. I was focusing on the tactical stuff, you know, the logistical things, making money, the job, all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out that, when it wasn't really happening for me. As soon as I worked on myself, got myself right, owned my own shit, and this is a daily process. Don't think that I'm, you know, like this is not something that happens overnight and you're good forever. No, this is reps in a gym. It's continuous work. You know, it's continuous work. So once I understood that, and I said, okay, I need to come first. Let's get myself healthy. Yeah. You know, stop drinking, you know, get my body composition back under control, because that was something that slipped when I got out, for a lot of different reasons. But let's get healthy there. Let's get physically fit. Let's work on the inflammation in my joints. Let's get healthy. You know, it's my spine, my hips, everything that's wrong. Let's focus on me first.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, and I did the holistic approach to health, mm-hmm. and I focused on that, and I got better, everything else kind of came into place. Everything became clear. Yeah. The direction came clear. The focus became, you know, I was focused. I knew exactly what direction I needed to take. I could see almost like the flow of the river at that point. So instead of, you know, paddling upstream or, you know, paddling into the bank, I was like, I know exactly which way to go. That's going to be the best for me. And I did. And it obviously the results speak for themselves.
Let's get into Nick, the entrepreneur. So there's so many things you're working on right now. Let's talk about the fitness aspect of it.
Yeah.
What do you do with the fitness aspect? Are you running a training facility? Are you like, where do you work with the whole fitness aspect, just helping other individuals?
So this actually, this all started, and this is a good lesson for any entrepreneur. I did not sell my first product for almost 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Now I had my first tactical business, and that I call that a failure. But I didn't really sell a physical product for almost 4 years as I was building an audience. Worked for other people. We took contract jobs. We did all these other different things, and I was building an audience. That audience, and I was just basically giving away free information.
Content.
Okay? Free information. And I started to get upwards of almost 100 DMs a day talking about prepping for the military, prepping for recruit training or boot camp, prepping for special operations or going into reconnaissance, which is what I was. And I got with one of my best friends, a teammate of mine, that we were on a team together at Marine Special Operations Command. And I said, hey man, I'm getting this question over, and let's work together. Let's develop, we worked with the NSCA and TSAC. I'm sure you're familiar with, I mean, I feel like they're like the gold standard of strength conditioning, right? Yeah. So that's who we wanted to really follow. That's who we wanted to get our information from. So, and again, we were using them for our own purposes because we wanted to get better.
Yeah.
So we went together in 2000, 3 years ago. We wrote our first training manual. It was a 12-week training guide for recruit training.
Awesome. And
that, unbeknownst to me, that was really the birth of our fitness and training company, our coaching company. And so then we did a recon one, then we did a MARSOC one, and then we did some female ones, and then we started into different programs and different protocols, and it just gave birth. And then I did a thing called Surviving the Cut. One of my partners is Bear Performance Nutrition. I work with them and have worked with them for I think almost 4 years now.
Okay, it's a supplement company. Yeah. Okay.
The veteran-owned supplement company. Yeah. I mean, they're just blowing up. I mean, the guy is. I should get him on here for you. I'll do an intro. The guy is amazing, and he's just an amazing visionary, and the way he works and the way he puts his team together and communicates is very amazing. So anyways, so I said, hey, I just signed on with them, and I was sitting, I was always a bigger guy, especially in the teams, but my composition was off, and I knew it. And I was like, all right, let's do something about this. I was 240, I was really focused on strength and powerlifting and strongman type of stuff. Yeah. Right. I just want to be big and strong.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
Okay. So you're thick.
Yeah. 6 foot, 240. And there's pictures on the internet before and after, and but at 6 foot at 240, I'm like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't athletic as much. I mean, I can move for a short amount of time, but running, long distance and conditioning stuff is, I was more focused on strength and power. But I said, as I'm getting into my, late 30s and knock on the door of 40 here, I need to be able to my joints need to be healthy. I need to be able to move. I need to be able to be flexible. I need, joint inflammation, all that kind of stuff. So I said, let's do a series for YouTube and for BPN, and let's call it, Surviving the Cut. Let's get me down to 8-10% body fat. So I flew out there. I think I checked in at 21 or 22. So I wanted to do this in 90 days. I wanted to show people, and the whole purpose of this was New Year's resolutions are horseshit.
100%.
They're complete bullshit.
If you can't do it any time of the year, you're not going to do it for friggin'
right. So my idea was, and I say my idea, it could have been my wife's idea, but to show them what you can do and what it takes if you have a New Year's resolution, what it actually takes.
Yeah.
You have an objective, and I talk about this a lot. turn your goals into objectives.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, using a military thought process, have phase lines, and then back plan from there, right?
Yeah.
Work from your objective back to your starting point.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So we back plan.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what we do in the military. We have an outcome, an ideal outcome.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of like eating how do you eat an elephant? You don't eat the elephant the whole time. Like, that's overwhelming. You don't climb a mountain and think about, peaking.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah. It's a different, I always say when I talk about goal setting for individuals, I don't like going nothing more than a year, but I go 1 year, 6 month, 3 month. And then from the 3 month is our focal point. And I give day-to-day operations, day-to-day strategies to get to your 3 months. It's a domino effect. Yeah.
So if you need to lose 30 pounds in 90 days, people go, oh shit, man. Okay. Well, let's just break that down into, I need to lose 10 pounds in a month. Well, let's break that down in a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I need 2.5 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
All you need to lose, man. Don't worry about the 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's worry about the 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
What can you do every day for 7 days to lose 2.5 pounds?
Yeah.
Now that's manageable.
100%. And you build a domino effect, right?
Yeah. So that's what we did. So we did that, and I got down to 195.
So did you physically live there for the 3 months?
No.
Okay.
No. Flew there. I think I flew there once or twice, and then he flew over here once or twice, and we just and it was mainly for media.
Yeah.
But I dialed in my macros. We worked together to figure out everything, and I went from 240 to 195 in 90 days.
Yeah.
And it was a dig, man.
Of course it's a dig. And as you get older, and how old are you right now? Or
how
old were you when this happened? How many years ago was this?
35, maybe.
You're still okay. I mean, once I'm 43, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a psychological. Once you hit 40, like I'm 6'2", 195. I'm pretty active, but once you hit 40, it feels like it was like overnight. My joints, just everything, just like I don't recover the same way. I'm working out with my kids, and I'm like sore the next day. So
I think because of the military, that sped the process up, because I got that way in my early 30s.
Yeah.
My early 30s, my joint pain started, inflammation and joint pain. And there was everything was caught up to me is what it was. And it happens to a lot of people in my job field. Metabolism crashed, hormones crashed, all this different stuff happened. Which, I like to say, like, I'm still young. I'm 38. I'm just high mileage. You know what I mean? I'm just very high. I'm a high mileage new car. But yeah, so we got down, we did 45 pounds in 90 days.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing right now?
I'm right around 200.
So you kept you've kept pretty.
Oh, no. We've done all kinds of fun stuff. I went back up, we've shredded back down. And, now I'm at the age where I'm not going to do the yin yang stuff for videos anymore.
Yeah. It takes a wear and tear on your body.
It does take a wear and tear on my body. And now I gotta, I just had my third kid, my son, 14-year gap between my youngest daughter and my son.
How old is your son now?
He just turned 4 months.
Yeah. I saw pictures. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah. So that now it's more of a priority to maintain kind of a, and with everything
active so you can keep up with them.
Yeah. And get on the ground and be able to move around. And, I'm 38 and he's going to, I've got to,
listen to you said the simple little things, get on the ground.
Yeah.
It's not even about working out. Yeah, exactly. Just the little simple things. I'm going to dive back in, and we're going to take it back quite a few years now. Growing up, did you have anybody in the military in your family? Like, what got you into that path?
So yes and no. My grandfather, not that I ever saw him, my grandfather served in the Army. He was in the Korean War. He went to 2 tours in Vietnam. He was a paratrooper on my mom's side.
Yeah.
And I never, he retired as a sergeant first class, never really knew much of his service. Little bit here and there. It wasn't until he actually died and I got his records from Kansas City that I learned a whole bunch of stuff. And he had a Bronze Star with V and from Vietnam. And it's amazing stuff. So I didn't really, that wasn't a huge influence. Other than being a kid and just, loving Rambo and loving Commando and all the, all the 80s movies that we grew up with.
Yeah,
and,
of course. Yeah.
and that was just absolutely awesome. What really did it for me though is as a kid, as a teenager, and I call myself a kid, I always worked. Even before I was probably 10 years old, and I got like a bike repair kit for Christmas or my birthday. So I was like hustling services to fix kids' bikes in the neighborhoods, because kids would like back in, then I don't think it's like that way anymore, but everybody had bikes. We're always doing tricks on BMXs. So we're constantly bending rims and stuff. So I had like a spoke repair kit that I could straighten rims out and all kind of tighten chains and all kinds of stuff, fix the ball bearings and the axles. And so I was selling services, making money that way. And then also taking junk bike parts and building bikes to sell.
I'm gonna ring back something you're gonna say right now. And now that you can look back, in my mid 30s to early 40s, I was able to actually sit back and recognize, as a kid, I did a lot of, like, I started my first company at 17, but I was even at 13, 14, like hustling, always trying to make a buck somewhere.
Yep.
And that entrepreneurial juice, a lot of people have that conversation all the time is, are you born an entrepreneur? Or are you not born an entrepreneur? That story leads to who you are now. I don't care what anybody says. You were born a hustler. And that drives you every day.
I only realized it actually very recently.
That's what I'm saying. I realized it in my late 30s. I was like, what? This has always been my fabric.
Yeah, I've always been up to something. Yeah,
it's crazy, huh?
Even in the so anyways, then I got my first job. I think it was at 11, working for my mom. My mom had a business, and I started washing dishes for her, and she paid me. And then we lied about my age, and got I think at 11 too, somewhere around there, I got a job busting tables and washing dishes at All American Diner in Panama City Beach. So if you get, every year I get my Social Security statement back, you get that thing in the mail of how much and what years and how much you've paid. And if you do the math, you're like, wait a minute, you shouldn't even have been paying Social Security at this year, but I was. So I've always worked. So when I finished the 10th grade, I graduated the 10th grade in high school. I got 2 different jobs. I was an AV tech at Bay Point Marriott, and I was a bellman there as well. And man, I was making like 16 years old, had my own car. I'm making buku cash.
This is all the tips, right?
I think I was making $15 an hour. This is in the 90s.
Which is a lot of money.
$15 an hour in the 90s, setting up projectors and audio equipment for conference centers.
Which is crazy because minimum wage back then was probably $5-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And so I'm making $15 an hour back then, setting up, and I was just technically savvy. Yeah. So like setting up projector and microphones and lighting and all that kind of stuff just came super natural to me. It was like nothing. So I was doing that for the conference center from 6 a.m. to 2. I would take a 30-minute lunch from 2 to 2:30, and then I would be a bellman from 2:30 to 10 for like
straight
like
hustle, right?
Yeah,
straight.
And I would do that. I would do that about 6 days a week.
Yeah,
and for the summer, and it was time to go back to school, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna give up. And it was anywhere from like $5,000 to $10,000 a month,
which is crazy back
then. As a 16-year-old to go to sit in a chair in high school. No, I think I'm going to pass. It just doesn't make sense financially for me to go back to school. So I got my GED, but then I kept doing this. And then, I got different jobs, and I had my own house on the beach. I moved out at, I think 17. When I turned 17, I moved out, got a place on the beach. And very soon I realized that I could be doing the same exact thing for the rest of my life. So I kind of panicked.
How old are you? 17?
17.
That's pretty crazy. You had such an awareness at that age already.
Yeah, I just saw this, like,
you saw this.
Not
this,
that
it's like, I get 100% what you're saying.
And I was like, oh man. So I had this like internal panic. Like I could be doing the same shit in the same area for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm screw it. I'm burning the ship and we're doing something else. So I did. I burned the ship. I ended up moving in with my grandmother. I went to go look at the military, and there's a very cool video on my YouTube channel called Who I Am. So if you look up Who I Am, Nick Koumalatsos, a very cool video I put together. It's very quickly, it's like 3 minutes, my life story in 3 minutes. But they told me no. They said, and this is something we haven't got into, you're a convicted felon.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, you're a convicted felon. You did drugs. You've been in a gang. You've got a GED. Like, there's no way you're getting in the military, kid. And this is in the 90s, right? It's before war. Clinton's in office. So it's like, not a chance, bro. Yeah. Not a chance. That was the worst thing they could have told me was no, that I can't do something. No, you can't do this. Okay, fucker, let me show you. So it took me almost 2 years. So I nuked my life, gave up everything that I had, gave up all the money, ended up going like part-time at a movie theater, and then going to school. I had to go to college. So I did a full semester in college because I had to negate the GED.
Yeah.
I had, my scores weren't good enough. So I had to study and get my scores up. I was never a great student. Now I just finished my master's in August in business.
Congratulations on that.
So, yeah. With a damn near 4.0, ironically enough. Yeah. And, so I went to school, moved in with my grandmother, got over 100 letters of recommendation, got waivers for everything, had to go to MEPS like 4 times, had to take the ASVAB like 3 times. But I got my shot. I finally broke the door down, and he just kept telling me no. And I just kept showing up and what do I need to do next? What do I need to do to do that? What do I need to do to get rid of this? And I just, wouldn't take no for an answer. They probably were
everything you're saying, Nick, is just it's if you look at any true entrepreneur, doesn't matter, even entrepreneur, top athletes in the world, anybody, to get to a certain level is that clues of success, right? Just if you look back and look at everything, your fabric or what you're built from, just by you saying, fuck it, I'm not, no's not an exception. Obviously you did something different than I did military. I went a different route, but that was my mindset. Like I'd rather be squeegeeing cars on the street than working for somebody. I've always said that since I was a kid. Right. So it's just a bad mindset. And that's okay. Keep your story going. I just want to say that's amazing. It's just
tenacity.
Amazing.
You have to have it in anything in life. You have to have tenacity and
not
that you won't get down. You won't feel defeated sometimes.
Of course.
I did, but it's the ultimate decision. Do you quit or do you keep going? You're going to have the low points. And I did.
Yeah.
So, and again, talking about low points. So I finally got my shot after almost 2 years. I was 18, almost turning 19. And, I got my shot to join the Marine Corps. And then on day 7, I broke my wrist.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I got dropped to a medical rehabilitation platoon for 2 months. And they were talking about kicking me out. Wow. And again, I just said no. I just said no and healed up for 2 months. And then they did a test. She's like, okay. She's like, I know it's not all the way healed. I'm like, yeah, it is. She's like, it's not all the way healed. It's only been 2 months. And she's like, the bone in there is so small. It gets very little bone supply. It's going to have problems. It's not going to be all the way healed. She's like, I know it hurts. She goes, do push-ups for me. So I did push-ups. She goes, does it hurt? I said, no, it feels great. It hurts so bad. But I was like, nah, it's good. She's like, looked at me like, okay, kid, sure. So they released me and I ended up going through and ended up becoming number 1 in the company. Half of that was because, I'd been there so long. So I had like a leg up on everybody. Right. Yeah. But I took that opportunity to get smarter than everyone there, to learn as much as I could, to give myself an advantage.
Yeah.
because I had a disadvantage, right? And I got this thing is all wrapped up in a cast. I had a disadvantage. So so how can I make it? So one of the greatest things that Derek Weeda, another veteran who lost his leg, he gets shot in his leg and he ended up losing it.
I follow him. Yeah, he's got an incredible story.
So he says something, to guys that, that have injuries and things like, stop focusing on the 150 things that you can't do and focus on the 50 that you can.
Yeah, 100%. You use that once. There's another terminology that means another metaphor you use towards anything in life, right?
Yeah. Just focus on what you can do, not what you stop focus on all this bullshit. Yeah. Focus on the few things that you can do and do them really well. Yeah. So when I got hurt, that's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on what I can do. And it served me and it got me to become the number one person in the company. A lot of people didn't like that, but just in life, right? Like when you're successful,
of course,
people aren't going to like that. But I did. And that really kicked off my military career into the direction that it did.
And you served for 12 years.
12 years. Right? Yep.
Yeah. 12 years. When you had 5 stints overseas?
Yeah. Five straight, deployments. Yeah.
5 straight deployments. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. By the time my youngest daughter was 5, I had done 4 deployments.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what age did you get married, or your first were you
19?
You were 19, so you were a baby still.
Yeah, I was a child.
So that was right before you took off. You got married.
Right after I got back.
Right after you got back.
Right after I got back. Yeah.
Wow. And your first daughter was born at what age? How old were you?
Oof. I think I was 20.
Wow.
I was 20 years old when Ella was born. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're, like I said, you're still
babies having babies, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's essentially what it is. Right. And you're forced in a situation to grow up, even though you might not be ready for it. You're forced to it, right? As a father. So you have 3 children now. So what's the age gap? You said 14. What's the middle one?
14.
Yeah. 14 is the oldest or the middle one?
No, 18's the oldest. 14's the
14 and 4 months.
Yeah.
Wow. So you got an adult, and there are the 2 girls and 1 boy?
2 girls, 1 boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to have a son. So it was very interesting. I had a vasectomy back in 2007 because my ex-wife could have possibly died with my second. So I was like, raising 2 girls by myself, not a cool thing. So I called it quits, got a vasectomy. And, as life, unfolds, you get blessed with these opportunities. And so we had to do, what's it called?
The reverse?
No, not a reversal. Is basically an extraction, but there's a name for it. And somebody's listening to it, was like, come on, dummy, it's this. But basically they went in to scrotum and sliced it all up and drew it out. Yeah. Above the wall. They got all the sperm and then came out. There's a funny video on YouTube about it. My wife filmed me high on anesthesia. It's hilarious. But no, they got out millions, and then we did IVF. We had 1 failed attempt, which was heartbreaking. And I know people have had multiple failed attempts. My heart goes out to people that go through that so much. But we had 1 fail. It crushed me. I think it crushed me more than it crushed her. Yeah. And then we put 2 in, and 1 made it, and little Dimitri made it, and that was my son. So
Dimitri, yeah. So
you never know what will happen in life. You never know.
You don't. Yeah. No, yours obviously is a blessing. So that's amazing.
I was totally sold that it was going to be a girl. And I was like, I only have girls. we only have girls. And I wanted another girl. And when I found out it was going to be a boy, I had a minor panic attack.
Seriously, huh?
Oh yeah. Just because of my own history with, growing up and my father and, I didn't want to make mistakes as a father with a boy.
Interesting.
Girls I feel like I had on lock. You love them until you just love them forever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm very passionate, and we haven't even talked about that, but I'm actually, that's the main purpose of mine right now, is I try to connect fathers and entrepreneurs. We talked about this a little prior of my connection with my family. I try to connect fathers and entrepreneurs to create a balance and learn how to succeed on both sides of their lives. Right. And I find it's just, you said you just love them. It doesn't matter, boy or girl, you just love them. And kids just want to be loved. I think that's the biggest misunderstanding. Just kids want to be loved. That's all they want. They don't care about gifts. They don't care about that shit. They just want to, if they get a gift and you're giving them a gift and they're so happy, they're happy because they're with you. They're beside you. They're not give a shit about the gift. Right.
That's something I had to get to. And initially it was like this shock. And I've talked to other fathers that kind of had similar backgrounds as me. And they were like, oh yeah, man, same thing. Like I found out I had a boy. I was like, oh shit, I'm going to ruin this kid. You know what I mean? And, but once I let all that go and realize like it's the same thing, and now I get to share a different side of me with my son that I wouldn't with a daughter. You know what I mean? It's different. And now it's been very cool, the whole process and the future. I'm excited about the future, and I'm excited about every little day. And
every day is an adventure, right? And as they get older, and as obviously you went through the process before, but now once he starts walking and it's just doing things with dad, and once he gets to the recognition where he wants to just hang out with like dad, like my son's 12 years old, honestly, Nick, and we talked prior to going to air about his history, but this kid is the sweetest, most gentle thing in the world. Like he will not go to bed or wake up. The first thing he's got to do is come and give me a hug. Every morning he's like, Dad, can I give you a hug? Like it's just, I just get goosebumps thinking about that. And you can't, it's priceless, right? It's just the most special thing, right? So man, you're going to have a lot of fun times ahead of you. Your shirt right there, always forward. What does that stand for? What is that all about?
So the back says, never quit, never surrender.
Yeah.
And then and then always forward. And the kind of that is that never quit mentality. And regardless of what goes on in life, you just keep moving forward.
I love that. I actually, at the end of my podcast, I always say I do an end section to all the podcasts. And I've said from day one, we're on a pre-recorded 78, 79 podcasts. I always say, keep moving forward. That's something I always say. And it's something I've said for years. Like no matter what happens in life, there's always going to be a brighter day. The sun's going to come up the next day. You just got to keep moving forward. Right. So I love that. So I saw
bad stuff happens. People die, you lose money, you lose business. And so what?
Keep moving forward. Always
keep moving forward. You fall down, you pick yourself up, you move forward.
I love that.
But if you continue to do that day in and day out, you have that consistency of just moving forward and not letting things hold you back. And one of the things that I talk about in the audiobook, so in the audiobook of Excommunicated Warrior, in between the chapters, I do kind of like a podcast interviews with several people, other influential people, veterans and special operations guys, and just amazing piece of content. One of the ones Kirk Weiser was talking about is like, you get in this area and then you get stuck there. And then people will build a tent there. They'll build a tent and live in this area of their life, and they'll never move forward out of it. Yeah, they'll be stuck in this. They'll build a tent in this place for whatever reason, and that's where they stay.
Yeah.
So that's why that whole thing moving forward is like, don't build a tent in your misery. Don't live there. Move past it and move forward.
I want to add, sorry, I was just sending a message to my staff not to show up not to make noise here. There's a few things I want to talk about is testosterone therapy. What's your relation with that, and what's that all about? Because that's something that's very relevant to athletes nowadays and stuff like that. So it's something that a lot of gentlemen my age are talking about, discussing. It's a lot of open conversation about nowadays, a lot more than it ever was in the past. So what's
definitely doing my part to help that.
Yeah.
So that was part of the journey with the book and my own personal journey. I was a wreck. I was depressed. My weight was, not that I was like, I had gained a bunch of weight, but I gotten soft and putting weight around the waist that I'd never had before. And, and I felt all these different things. And a friend of mine was like, man, have you ever had your hormones checked? He's like, 'cause all these symptoms, just not sleeping, this, the weight gain around the waist, all this random stuff. He goes, have you ever had your hormones checked? So I did. I went and got my blood tested, and my testosterone was like a 190 in my early 30s. For anybody that knows anything about that, like, you know, that's like the testosterone level of a 72-year-old man. You know, that's so not on HRT.
If I'm mistaken, so a good number would be the 400 to 500.
No, I would say a good number for a healthy male is 900.
That high, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I would say that's when a man is running optimal. He's recovering well. He's sleeping well. He's having great sex. He feels great. He's fucking crushing the day. He's at 900.
Interesting. I always thought it would be around 400 or 500. That's
nope.
double what I'm
but
thinking.
Here's the thing with the thing. They say 300 to 800 is the range.
Yeah.
That means absolutely jack and shit.
No, there's such a big difference there.
Because you might feel like crap at 500, and I might feel like a king at 500.
Yeah. It's very individual.
So it's really optimal to the individual person. Yeah. Generically, like talking to my patients, or not my patients, the core medical group and the people that work there, we've seen over time about that the sweet spot is right around 900, about 200 milligrams a week of testosterone Bn.
Very, very cool. And you've been focused on this and been doing this for how long now? 14
I started. Really, so 14 really helped everything. It helped my brain.
Yeah.
And then I ended up coming off of it to have the baby. So I had to come off of it so that I would reproduce everything, which was absolute disaster.
I was going to say, yeah. So how long were you off it for?
8 months.
So your body had to almost.
Oh man, I would work out. I would work out one time. Now granted, my workouts might be a little more intense than a normal person, but I would work out one time and I'd be sore for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, so anyways, that was,
so did your numbers obviously did work because obviously your little one's here, but how were you testing yourself on a weekly basis to see how your levels were changing? Like, did your diet have to, like when you got off it, because that's a big peak, right? I mean, it's not overnight shit, right? This is like months before it starts.
I'll tell you this, Jeff, I did not do it the right way.
You didn't weave off, huh?
No. I did it. Now, if I would have been with the clinic that I'm partners with now, I would never have came off. We have a specific fertility protocol that we do with patients now.
Yeah.
That we would not have to have done what I did, which is, I'm kind of glad that I did, because now I can say I did it the bad way. Don't do what I did. Let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
But I pretty much went cold turkey for 8 months. Took some meds from the doctor to get the sperm count kind of kicking right towards the end before the surgery, and it was a success. But it's unnecessary to do it that way. You can stay on testosterone. They have other medications that will boost it. You just lower your testosterone a little bit, but you don't have to have that crash where you lose all your muscle mass. You almost look sick, and like you're depressed.
How were you psychological as well? Like, how was your mind?
Like crap.
Yeah. Huh?
Absolute crap. It put strain on and I warned her, but she didn't realize the level of what it was going to change.
Yeah.
And it really put a strain on our relationship.
And when you went back on, how long did it take to actually start leveling out again?
I started feeling better in 3 days.
Seriously, huh?
3 days. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like the fog cleared up. I had more energy. I had more direction again. Like, it was causing problems with our company. I called my friend and said, hey man, like, cause he had done through the same thing. He didn't have a vasectomy. They did it naturally, but he came off to have, Josh Hansberger. They had Prism, and he's like, listen, man, I understand. He's like, I said, are you taking vitamin D? So I'm taking my normal amount. He's like, you need to double it.
What do you take vitamin D a day?
Well, now I do injectable.
Oh, you do injectable. Okay.
I do injectable. But then I was randomly, because I wasn't even on it. I was in a fog, 5,000 IUs.
Yeah. I do that every day. I take actually 5,000 every day.
That's good. But for where I was at, I needed to be, and he's like, so he sent me some stuff. And he's like, you need to bump it up to 10,000. He's like, that helped me.
Yeah.
So 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. It did help, but it wasn't a full fix, but it definitely helped with a kind of like not depression, but just kind of like a lump on a log.
I don't think people realize how powerful vitamin D is.
No,
Almost
everybody is vitamin D deficient.
And if
so
you
now
look at if you look at even all these numbers, and there's stats out there with everybody that catches COVID, I think like 90-something% of them are vitamin D deficient. And the government doesn't say anything. Like there's
90% of the U.S. is vitamin D deficient.
It's crazy when you think of those stats.
So this is where, like, when it comes to the HRT stuff, this is what I'm telling people is like. So I have a link, that they. I'm
going to put all that I'm going to put all those links on our show notes for you as well.
I'll send it to you, and then but it's basically like, man, like I'm not selling you HRT.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sell you that. What I'm going to sell you is get your fucking blood tested.
Yeah.
If you don't know, and I'm not talking about going to your doctor and then run like your LDL and HDL and your triglycerides. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a full blood panel of your hormones, everything that's going on in your body.
I can be honest, I've never done one myself.
Well, then I'll hook you up. You need to get your blood tested, because that's the only way to know how your body's recovering. I could talk about your sexual health. I can talk about, if I look at your blood panel, I can talk about the quality of your orgasms.
Seriously, huh? That's crazy.
Absolutely. I can tell you if you're having good orgasms or not. And so that's what people need to do. So I'm not selling you HRT because you might not need it. But what I am telling you is you need to get your blood tested to find out what is going on in there, because it might be just, hey, you need some B vitamins, you need some vitamin D, and you need this. You might need a peptide or something like that.
Yeah.
You might not need testosterone. You might be one of those freaks that just naturally has a 1500 without doing anything.
Quick question. Is it hard? Are you finding you have to battle almost the stigma of testosterone therapy to steroids? Like,
absolutely.
People,
I mean,
it's people put in the same bracket when they look at somebody. Like, for example, if you look at like even like testosterone therapy, a lot of MMA athletes, stuff like that, now they're completely off it. And there's a time when a lot of them were on it. The older athletes were on it, and now they're completely cut off because it has that stigma where it's just, it's almost like you're cheating almost. You're cheating the system almost. It's like that's steroid magnitude, right? It's everybody puts it in that bracket, right? Which is not.
It is. It's becoming, when I first started talking about it, even silently, right?
Yeah.
Not as publicly as I am now. It was very much so like a stigma attached to it. Now you're getting like the onesies and twosies that are just really against it.
Yeah.
That are just, like, oh, you're just juicing. This is the reason why that, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not like,
no, that's what people have to make.
Like, I don't, and then people are like, like, for instance, Nick Bare, they're like, Nick Bare's on steroids. And I'm like, actually, no, he's not. He's in his 20s. He's clean as can be. He's never taken that stuff. But just so you know, and I took one of the videos I did, I took a picture of him just jacked and lean. I was like, he's nothing. And then I took a picture of me at 240 at 22% body fat. And I said, I'm on steroids. If you want to call it steroids, like, this is HRT, this is not. So like, it really comes down to, just because you're taking testosterone doesn't mean you're going to be ripped and jacked and look like, look like a wrestler, It comes down to diet, man.
Yeah. Diet is 70-80% of anything is diet, right?
Yeah. Like 100%. If you're eating like shit on HRT, you're still going to look like shit.
I'm going to send you a picture when we're done. I'm going to through when I was 18 to 22, I was off season 240. I won't look at now, but I used to compete bodybuilding. I'll send you some pictures. And I did a whole bunch of shows and all that. And in that meantime, there was a lot of guys I train with, and they were on supplements, and you would see the guys that were strict diets and the guys that are not on the same shit. And you look at them and you'd be like, that guy's on nothing. He's not taking nothing. And he was taking just as much, if not more, just as the diet was a huge part of it. And people don't realize it, right?
Right. He had his diet dialed in, so he looked good.
100%. Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to. And now it's becoming such, I think that so much of the talking about symptoms, right?
Yeah.
When you get away from talking about the results of HRT, you start talking about the symptoms of what men have.
Yeah.
All right. We talk about like we open the door to sexual dysfunction.
Yeah.
You know, and we talk about the fogginess. We talk about the weight gain. We talk about the depression. We talk about lack of passion and all these different areas. I think when you attack it from that direction, people are like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's something to this. So I think talking about it from that direction has really changed the conversation. So every month I do a webinar with somebody at Core or somebody in the industry that talks about this, and it's really educational.
Did you do that through your podcast?
I do it through the podcast, and I do it through the Harborside podcast, but also I just blast it everywhere. I put it on YouTube, Facebook, wherever I can put it. And if IGTV will let me, you know, I'll try to put it on there too. That's a little finicky though, but because I try to get the information out there. But typically it starts on YouTube and then kind of trickles down from there. But anyways, I think that's really helped. I think that's really helped change the conversation as well. And the more we get educated on it, then I think the more it's harder for those people that are, you know.
Yeah, you're giving a breakdown and explanation of the health benefits of it and the health side of it, not the visual side of it, right? Which is
not like the results. Like, yeah, I can make you, you know, jack, tan, and ripped if you take this thing of this vial. It's not about that. It's about how do I make you the best? How do I make you the best human being possible? How do I make you feel the way you should feel? Yeah, you know.
And this is obviously all controlled through doctors and all that stuff like that, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. And like you're getting blood tested all the time and you're constantly talking with a patient coordinator who's, you know, monitoring. And this is the biggest thing when it comes down to HRT. You're monitoring symptoms.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel? That's the most important thing. Like, how do you feel? And if you don't feel good,
your mindset, your fogginess, you're saying a lot of, there's
the CEO of Core went to, it was a great story. CEO of Core went to, I think it was a Porsche dealership. And he goes, give me your top 8 or 10 salesmen. He's like, I'll comp your HRT for all of them. He said, if they're not overproducing X amount of percentage within this amount of time, then don't worry about it. He's like, if they are, then we're going to work a deal for your whole sales staff.
That's crazy.
Because it is, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
If you're not running optimally, then like,
I'm getting a visual of the movie Limitless, right?
Yeah, it's kind of right. It's kind of the idea, right?
Yeah.
So now you get your hormones in check, you get your health, your diet, your fitness, and your hormones in check, and then we arm you with how to schedule your day. We arm you with how to drive direction. We give you the assets to be successful. Yeah, that's a dangerous human being.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's how do you think all these people are doing what they're doing, and they're making the millions that they're making? Yeah. It ain't by accident, man.
No, it's the drive and obviously the focus. Let's talk about a couple of your ventures.
Yeah.
Gator Eyewear. Where did that all start? That is your company?
No, that's not mine.
That's your company because you really promote it.
Absolutely. They're one of my big partners. I've been partners with them for a long time. I started wearing them in Afghanistan. It's all American made aluminum eyewear. They're a great company to work with. And I wore them in Afghanistan. I started wholesaling their glasses when I got out, and I started my first business. And they went through a bankruptcy, believe it or not, and I stuck through them through the dark ages. Their original owner's company bought it back.
Oh wow, okay.
So it kind of came full circle. But yeah, they've been great to work with. So no, that's just, I have 3 main partners, Core Medical Group, Bear Performance Nutrition, and Gator's Eyewear is my 3 kind of sponsored partners.
What about the grooming company? I saw something about a grooming company.
We own that. That's ours.
You do that. Okay, let's talk about that then. When did that all start? And obviously the beard has something to do with it. Let's dive into that.
Yeah. So a guy named John Rushai reached out to me. And he reached out to me for 6 months straight. And one of those things like, hey, dude, I'm in the area. I want to share some of my stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure, kid. I think he was like 23 at the time. And he was making stuff in his kitchen.
Seriously, huh? Oh, how long ago was this? How long ago was this?
This was in 2018, I think. So
the kid was hustling his ass off.
Yeah. No, 2017. Yeah. Because March will be 3 years for us.
Yeah.
So he was trying, man. He was trying. He had, there's a great video, like the Johnny Slick story is a great video. He calls it, I was a no for structure. Cause I asked him, well, anyway, so he reached out to me like 17 times on Instagram. Finally, I responded one time and he came by and dropped some stuff. We were right in the middle of that 90-day vlog series where I was going to lose 45 pounds, open my own coffee company. And I forgot the third thing. There was 3 things that I was going to do. I can't remember, but anyways, so he reached out to me, he dropped some stuff off. And within 3 weeks, I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to partner with this guy and we're going to make this a company. He had no website. He could not ship. He had no payment wall. He had no funnel. He had no anything, no marketing, nothing. And
he obviously had a good product.
He had a great product, but he was losing money on the product because he was basically making it and then driving like around 3 to 8 hours to deliver 5 products, like 5 pomades.
He's spending more money on gas than profit.
Yeah, it was and once I heard this, I was just horrified that this was the process. I was like, absolutely, you're never doing this again. And anyways, so really took him on as almost, I took a portion of the company. We partnered. We launched the website March 7th. We were in the 6-figure range first year.
Yeah.
We 5x that the second year, and then hit 7 figures the third year. This year,
which is amazing. Yeah. How many products do you guys have?
Oh, geez. Now?
Yeah.
30 something.
So you guys are a full out.
Oh, we're a grooming company.
Yeah.
We're a grooming company.
Oh, like even a grooming company to have 30 products. I mean, it's a lot of competition in that field. But most companies have 4 to 5 products.
There's a lot of competition, but I don't feel like there is for us because we're really one of the only truly organic grooming product companies.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
It's all real ingredients. And the guy is a just absolute ninja with making these products, because how do you take real, or ingredients, organic ingredients, and create a with no, chemicals, no emulsifiers, no preservatives, nothing. And then make it, completely natural. And
are you guys into retail or just all online right now?
No, direct to consumer. We do have some wholesale accounts that you can get if you're in random places throughout the world.
Yeah.
For instance, we have there's a barbershop in Belize that carries a large portion of our products. But yeah, I mean, we've changed the game. That company we landed on Forbes this year. I just got a notification that we're in Tech Times this morning. Yahoo Business, I think, or Yahoo Finance, one of those. So it's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. From just an idea and just you being open. Like there's a big thing you always hear. You always see that video of Gary Vee when he talks about Airbnb. They kept calling and calling for months and months and months. Yeah. I don't know if you see that story, and he refused to take their call. So it's just it's
persistence.
Pick up the phone. No, it's pick up the phone. I mean, just listen to people. You never know. What's the worst you're going to say? No. What's the worst you're going to say? No. Like, did you? I'm sure just by then that can turn up in your house. Would you be able to magnify 3 years later where you guys would be? I mean,
I knew. So as soon as I tried the product, I was like, "This is $1 million product, and I need to do something about it." I saw so much. We saw so much. Possibility within himself.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Like, this is a guy to invest in.
Yeah,
and it's ironically, I don't know if you do the what's the personality test, disc profile.
Yeah.
So over the past 3 years, we made him take a disc profile. It's something I learned from my wife, which really helped us with manning and all this kind of stuff. But we made him take a disc profile then, and we made it take him recently, and it's changed.
That's crazy.
It's his actual working personality has changed from more of like a influencer to more direct. I think he was like an IC or ISC or something like that. and now he's a DIC, which is like, we now has called him a dick. I'm like, now Johnny turned into a dick, but he's really turned into like a CEO, almost like a CEO.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what CEO is, right? It's
much more business oriented.
Yeah,
much more focused on his schedule. He's the same as managing a 7-figure business. He's going to school for internet marketing, like same as I did, like managing two 6-figure and 7-figure businesses, going to my undergrad and my master's while having a kid. But again, time blocks.
It's exactly what the whole podcast started with today is where we kind of full circle here.
Yeah.
So the grooming business, you have partnerships with other companies. Is there any other businesses you're currently doing right now?
Oh, the big one. Yeah. Let me take a quick break. I'm gonna pee, and then we'll talk about it.
Let's go.
All right. So this, we kind of talked about it earlier on, was we did the surviving the cut thing. Yeah. Well, the next year I said, you know what? I did surviving the cut. I'm going to give the other people the opportunity to do what I did.
Yeah.
So we created this little group, and I got with my partner, and we did surviving the cut for 35 people.
We did. Okay. Very cool.
So it was like a 3-month thing for 35 people.
And this is all documented like for video and stuff as well?
Oh yeah. And
awesome.
and it was all online. It was like online coaching for 35 people. They can do what I did. Yeah. And I want to say it was like, I don't know what I charged. It wasn't maybe $50 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a total test, testing
the market. Yeah.
Yep. And we ran one, took a break, ran another one. I think we ran 2 that year in 18. And then in 19, we ran 1 every quarter. And then in this year, we went full online, opened online coaching. And ironically enough, so I had a gym.
I didn't know that. I've had 2 gyms, so I didn't know that. So when did you have your gym? Let's talk about this quickly. Just jump back and then we'll jump back.
I still have it. I actually just closed it November 30th. I closed it to the public. So now it's just a private gym.
Okay.
With everything going on. And I don't know. I'm surprised you didn't see it. There's a video that went viral of my gym getting raided by the police.
No.
Yeah. Due to the whole COVID thing, they broke a ton of laws. There's a lawsuit pending, a federal lawsuit pending right now against them, against the town, for violating Fourth Amendment. They actually raided the gym with no warrant.
Wow.
Yeah. Big no-no, right?
Wow.
I feel like, who was it?
So this is during I guess during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I did close. I closed March 25th.
We're going through that right now, Nick, and it's so stressful seeing where, like we talked before we went on air, my main company is called Kimura, where I manufacture boxing martial art equipment. So my business is all wholesale. So I build the things at my factory. We sell them strictly wholesale to all the gyms. And martial art gyms, they're all mama papa gyms. And that's what we deal with. We deal with 1,800 gyms right across North America, and seeing them just in my area alone we're from Toronto, Canada. So just our area in Toronto, Canada, 48 gyms have closed through this whole shit.
It's horrible. That's people's livelihood. That's
100%. That's the 100%. They're 100%, but they're saying, hey, you can't be at a gym where it's sanitized and clean and people are taking care of everything, and you're promoting health and fitness, which is don't get sick. But you can wait in line, and you can wait in line and through behind 100 people at Costco. It's fucking crazy.
Or get on a plane. Yeah. Sit right next to it. There's zero data. I don't understand the war against training and health right now. It makes no sense to me.
It doesn't. I don't.
There's an agenda. I can't figure it out.
It just boggles my mind. I can't understand it. So I apologize about that. So go.
So because of the, and because the government has everybody scared to go to a gym, membership we had a 50% loss in revenue.
Yeah.
We maintained as long as we could. I kept everybody on staff, kept everybody paid. And it just, I got with one of my business coaches and he said, shut the gym down.
Yeah.
Go back to March when the shutdown happened. We launched the online training platform.
So it's just like perfect timing for that.
Ironically enough, the same month we launched the Agogi training, the Agogi.
Yeah.
We made more than the gym makes.
Oh, 100%. Everybody was trying to get a substitution online, right?
Yeah.
It was like the perfect time.
Yeah. So, and that we ran that since March, and that's ongoing, and it's booming. And so we've taken all the fitness.
It's a membership base.
Yes.
Okay.
The coaching it's more, and we're going to get into it. It's more than just physical fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
It's evolving into much more.
Yeah.
So we've taken all of our training platforms, right? All of our PDFs and everything we sold online, and we've kind of brought that under the house of the Agogi, and now, and then the training, and then the coaching aspect. But the coaching aspect has really evolved into kind of everything we talked about in the beginning. So that we have the 4 pillars of the Agogi is fitness, discipline, belief, and tribe.
Okay.
All right. So we start with fitness, right? We start with getting somebody physically, mentally, and spiritually fit,
Yeah. The pillars.
And it starts with the food that you put in your mouth and the exercise you do with your body.
Yeah.
And any entrepreneur, if you're a successful entrepreneur, I wrote this years ago when I was struggling. I wrote the 6 habits of successful people, not knowing about Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits. They're like, did you just rip off 7 Habits? Like, what is 7 Habits? I didn't even know about it. But his is more thinking and different things like that. These are like physical things, like wake up early, train your body, eat healthy, and I was struggling with this. So I was like, well, how are all these people successful? What do they do? What's their routines that they do? And I saw a common trend between different CEOs, different people in the entertainment industry. They all had this kind of similar trend. So I wrote a short article about it. Well, that's kind of led into the Agogi as well, is getting people physically fit first. Yeah. Getting them lean, getting the fat off their body. It's getting the waste, and it's really just shedding waste.
Yeah.
Shedding waste on your body, shedding waste in your life.
Yeah.
So that you can optimally perform in all areas of life. So then the next one is discipline, like instilling discipline. Motivation is bullshit. Yeah. It truly is.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
It's completely fleeting.
Yeah.
Motivation kind of comes and goes.
100%.
And if we're constantly basing our success or the way we're going to execute things off motivation, we're never going to get there.
No.
Like, I'm not always motivated to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes I don't want to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, but I do. So why? Because it's a routine that serves me. If I get up at 4:30, that means from 4:30 to 6 or 6:30, I can get all the work shit that I need to get done with nobody bothering me.
Let me jump in there, Nick. And if you're listening to my podcast, listening to anything I do, I'm up at 4:30 every day. I've been doing this for 12 years. And why I do that is because we talked about it. It's my 3 to 7. Me being up at 4:30, by 9 o'clock in the morning, my day is done work-wise almost. And then it's just cruising throughout the day. And then that allows me to be home from 3 to 7. So I'm very scheduled. And like anything, you wake up days like today, I got up and I went to bed super early. I was in bed like 8:30 last night. I was just like, I'm done. Same. I was in bed by 8:30. I was up at 3:30 this morning. I was like, yeah, let's go. And it's just,
I woke up before my alarm this morning.
And it's just that habit of just, it becomes part of you. It's engraved in you after, right? So I'll continue. I apologize, but yeah, that's something I totally believe in.
For those of you listening, there's a trend here. There's a trend, So wake up and as Craig Valentine says, eat that frog, right? Or I think it was Mark Twain that originally said that. But eat that frog, right at the first of the day. Eat it, get it done with, get that work done, and then you can serve others, right? You can 100%. knock out the rest of the stuff of your day. So then the discipline. That's when the discipline comes in. The consistency, building a routine, building that schedule, building those block times, and then having the discipline to stick to that. Yeah. Regardless of your feelings, regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of who's involved, you have the discipline. Like this is my routine. This is what I do. All right. And then we get into the beliefs, the belief structure of first believing in yourself, believing that you can make $1 million, believing that you can lose that 30 pounds, believing that you can accomplish your objectives. Yeah. Because if you don't believe in yourself, well, You failed before you even started.
Everything you're saying is, I swear, I apologize for keep cutting you off here. Just
no, you're good.
That word belief, Nick, is so powerful, and it's something I strict on. Years back, and I have posts. You could go through my posts. Years back, I got these 2 wood painted, hand painted signs. There was an artist at a local market. And I got them to make these 2 wood signs painted, and it says, "Believe in yourself." And I put them outside above my kid's bedroom door. So every time they go to bed every night, I would make them look up. And that was a habit. They do it every night. They look up and they say it to themselves. And it's just a habit.
Did Ted Lasso's show steal that from you?
No, I've been doing this for years. Who took this from me?
Ted Lasso, the show. There's an Apple TV show. Ted Lasso. He's a American football guy that goes to the UK, and he puts the sign above his office that says "Believe."
I didn't even know that.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's brilliant.
I never even heard that. Yeah, I put it
brilliant.
on. It says "Believe in yourself," and I have it on above both my kids' doors. And it's such a powerful word. It's such a simple word, but it has so much meaning to it. Sorry, but I keep cutting you off. I apologize, brother.
No, so that's it. So then we talk about beliefs, right? We got to get into the belief structure of believing in yourself, and then believing in your team. Yeah. And then we get into the tribe. Why are we fit? Why do we have discipline? Why do we believe? So that we can take care of our tribe. Yeah. So that we can serve our tribe. We can protect our tribe. Why are we fit? So that we can be a protector. Yeah. We can actually provide for them. We can make the money and make the life that we need to provide for them and to serve them. And that could be your team, that could be your platoon, that can be your work tribe, or it could just be your family. Yeah. But it all comes down to that. But if we don't take care of our fitness, if we don't have discipline, how are we going to, and we don't have a belief, how can we set the example? And this is where I talked about men. Like, are you going to be a dad bod? My wife came up with this. You're going to have a dad bod, or are you going to be a father figure?
I love that. No, I love that.
What kind of example are you going to set?
But everything you're saying, those steps, you're essentially building leaders. Yeah. That's what it is. You're building leaders. And
we've had people, and this is the reason why, like, our coaching is not just physical fitness coaching. It's all encompassing. Yeah. We get, like, anytime, if anybody's in the physical like world, and I'm not saying I'm the best physical fitness coach or weight loss coach in the world, or my team is, by no means are we. There's probably people way freaking smarter and way better at it than us. But what we do different is we have the whole concept, the whole human body, whole human being concept of making somebody stronger, faster, and smarter. Yeah. An all well-rounded human being, to be a better mother, to be a better father, to be a better servant, and to make them more prosperous. Like, that's what's important in life.
Yeah, I love it.
It's not always about abs. Abs are cool, but it's not always the intention.
No.
I got a guy that we've made him, like, he started at 300 pounds. He's at 195.
I think I seen did you put a post on that?
I've done a couple, not the most recent one, but I've done a couple with him.
Yeah, I saw a few of them.
He just did his own. He posted in the group a little while back. There's an email going out about it soon. But how this has changed his life with his kids, his wife, and how he's actually been more profitable in his business because of what we've done at the Agogi. Being part of the Agogi tribe has made him more profitable in his life. And that's what it comes down to, because once you get all those things in order, you're going to have the confidence. Everything kind of comes into play. It's like what we talked about in the originally when we first started talking. Yeah. When we get the human body and we get the human being healthy and stable, everything else lines up.
I like everything you're saying. Just it's very close to home, because the first thing I always say is I'm very family oriented. We talked about this. Like, my family is everything. I try to build everything around my family, but health is everything. If you don't have your health, that Porsche means shit all if you're in the hospital. I always say that, right? So your health is first. Once you can build everything you're saying, once you build your health, and then you build your structure, and then everything else comes. And essentially your tribe, you're impacting the rest of your family, everybody around you. So I love everything you're doing. Nick, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. I love this. This has been such an amazing conversation. You got so many layers, man. I want you to come back on this podcast. Absolutely. It's a pleasure meeting you, brother. On all our show notes, I'm going to put everything about you, from your book to your men's care line to your podcast, which we didn't even talk about. There's so many different layers, and to your Agogi. Where'd you get that name from, first off?
The
Where did that name come
Agogi was where, and this is kind of where it talks about, making strong human beings, right? Becoming anti-fragile. The Agogi was the training camp of the Spartans. They would take young men at like 7 or 8 years old, and they would put them in these camps and train them for years to become Spartan citizens.
Interesting.
And that's why we took the process. I'm Greek, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So like I have a strong relationship, but it's that process of becoming anti-fragile, becoming protectors, becoming providers.
Love that.
At an elite level, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not doing this we're not going to half-ass this. We're going to full-ass this. We're going all in, and that's why it's a tribe.
I love it. I love it. Like I said, on our show notes, we're going to put how to get a hold of Nick through social media, through everything like that, through his websites. I greatly appreciate any last minute things you want to say.
No, do better.
Love it.
Do better.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, brother.